Hello, I'm Jeff Hall, and today I'm going to be reviewing London After Midnight's Psychomagnet. This is a 2008 reissue, so let me see. Yeah, 2008 reissue. So it's not the original cover, and I think there is some differences with the tracks. One is the difference is that the Bondage song on this particular album is the Unchained mix. So I guess it's a newer mix, but I like it better than the original one. And I like the voice samples they use a lot from Alice in Wonderland and so forth. They're really cool voice samples. Kiss is what you're listening to right now. It's got the classic Egyptian goth thing going on. It's a good song. Where Good Girls Go to Die. It's got great bass in it. It's a really good song, catchy. Psychomagnet, the title track, is very creative in a way. I like it a lot. It's heavy. And one thing about this album, it's kind of got that heavy thing going on that like a lot of groups, like industrial groups, gothic groups, and everything were eventually going towards. Like Sisters of Mercy's Vision thing was a heavier album, and that was in the 90s. I believe this album was mostly late 80s to the 90s. I'm not sure when it was released, but I know it's late 80s to the 90s, and it's got a heavier thing going. Fills and the Heflin were pretty heavy for a late 80s group. A lot of goth was either going more heavy on the guitars or more heavy on the techno electronica vibe. And that's one thing I appreciated about London After Midnight is they kind of were one of the groups that influenced the newer sound of things to come with groups like Crux Shadows and everything that followed after that for the more newer goth sound that took away from the theatrical crazy death rock to the doomy, gloomy, minimal, like Malaria, Throbbing Gristle type of sounds. There's a lot more technique and a lot more things going on with it. Uh, the, they have two kisses on here, by the way. One kiss is an edit, so if you don't feel like listening to all 7 minutes of Kiss, you have the edited version. But if you like the whole song, you have the non-edited version. So I like that they at least included both versions, which it kind of makes me mad that on Selected Scenes, the reissue, they didn't add the long play version of Your Best Nightmare. And I like the longer version better because the singing's better and the music isn't too overproduced. But they didn't add it. Why they didn't add it? I don't know. But this is a way better reissue and a way better album because Selected Scenes tends to get kind of cheesy and goofy, in my opinion, whereas this album is more real with the lyrics, like more relatable, more real, more reality wise, and I like it like that. And one good example of a very realistic song is Shatter, where it talks about how your friends betray you and how his friend, I guess, that he's writing about, like goes on through the life thinking it'll get better and just keeps getting betrayed. It's a really deep emotional song, and it's if you've ever lived life and have a lot of friends, backstab you or not be your friends anymore, or you've had a boyfriend or girlfriend cheat on you, you can relate to it. And it's a really well done song and really sad and not done in the emo way. I mean, it's a really good, if you will, realistic goth song. A Letter to God is a heavy one. Like I was saying, these 90s goth groups or groups going into the 90s tended to get more guitar heavy, and A Letter to God is really heavy. Carry On Screaming is a really great song. I believe it's got a female guest vocal on there, and it's really done. It complements the song really well. It's well done. Hate is another heavy one. You're gonna get that a lot in the 90s goth stuff. You're gonna either gonna get really heavy guitars or you're gonna get really heavy electronica sounds. Um, Blessing's a really good song. Not my favorite song on here, but it's pretty okay. And then you have Innocence Lost, and all that is kind of a beginning to Kiss. It's kind of like that little xylophone thing he does with his hands. It's kind of like a little bit of that before the song, which reminds me a lot of Virgin Prunes, You Can Block It. I don't know the name of the song that goes before Decline and Fall. So it's kind of like that idea in a way, but shorter. You can almost technically not even need it, but it's just there. And then of course there's the long play of Kiss, which I prefer because it has these little mixes and sounds that's not in the short play of Kiss. And then there's 99, which is a really odd experimental number. And on this CD after 99, if you listen for a while, it goes into a bonus track. And I believe the bonus track is another version of Kiss, like a remix or something, I don't know. But one thing I can say about this album from London After Midnight is it's actually a good reissue. It's way better than Selected Scenes from the End of the World reissue, which I didn't like for a lot of reasons, besides not liking the original album all that much. It's a good reissue, it's a pretty good album. There's not a bad track on it. I mean, Innocence Lost to me is kind of like filler, but I don't hate it, you know. And Blessing is an okay song. It's not the best song in the world, but it's not the worst song. But all in all, it's a great album. I have a lot of respect for London After Midnight because they kept the goth scene alive and original in the 90s, and they influenced a lot of groups like Crux Shadows and all that. And they were really evolving the sound, you know, because a lot of groups tend to stay to that moody way or that death rocky zombie sex way, whatever. Whereas them, London After Midnight, Sean Brennan, the guy who's the mastermind behind it, he was evolving from it. So he was making his own unique sound. And considering how many Sisters of Mercy clones there are out there and all that kind of stuff with the goth scene, which oftentimes gets repetitive, I have to give Sean Brennan or London After Midnight credit for being original and keeping the music alive. It's a great group. If you like Sisters of Mercy or Crux Shadows, I think you really would like this group. I like them a lot, and they're very great for a later group, like late 80s, 90s, because usually my reviews and my tastes are more the older stuff, like 70s to early 80s. But this is a great group, it's a great album, it's a great reissue, and it's just good. So that's my review for London After Midnight's Psycho Magnet. It's a 2008 reissue, but I believe most of the songs are late 80s and 90s. I'm not sure. But I hope that helps someone think about this group, and I'm Jeff Hall signing out.